Chapter 21. Dowdy. The girl and Deacon walked Old River Road. One side was shaded and one side still glowed with summer sunlight and oppressive heat. They opted for the cool side of the street. Because there was no breeze, the flying pests gave shoeing hands infrequent time to rest, which proved to be a lack of wherewithal, as were the Perrys with her parasol. She broke the silence.
"Don't think less of me. I am the Christian I profess to be. When I agreed to go along with him, I didn't know where we would have a swim. My trespass, then, I ask you to forgive. Never again, as long as I shall live, will I be so blatant with the rules. To disregard them is the way of fools."
The cunning deacon said, "My dear, it's true. And if your sweet old grandad ever knew about this gallivant on private land, with shirtless boys, he'd never understand. Can you just picture how his saddened face would crumple at the news of this disgrace, and the reproach you've brought upon his name? I doubt his broken heart could bear the shame." Their walking stopped. Her left hand grabbed his sleeve. She said,
"Please, nothing more to make him grieve. You mustn't tell him, please. He mustn't know. I swear, if asked again, I wouldn't go."
The deacon smirked. "And so for his own good, let's make a deal, that neither of us should ever speak a word of these events. The Lord forgives the sinner who repents."
"Oh, thank you, Deacon, thank you. Lips are sealed. I cross my heart and swear on Britain's shield."
"Good lass. The Lord takes note of vows when spoken, and he will punish every vow that's broken." Her eyelids filled like water in a bath. He said, "Do not provoke your Maker's wrath. And as your loving pastor I remind that all which has been hidden he will find."
"Oh, Deacon, cross my heart and hope to die. I will not break this vow or tell a lie."
The deacon's silence showed he'd heard enough. She wiped her tears as he rolled up his cuffs. Another lesson came to Dowdy's mind, and so he said, "Don't be led by the blind. If you walk with the wise, then wise you'll be. But fools are born in foolish company. So why keep company with riffraff?"
"Well, Clancy's different. Fun. He makes me laugh."
"The devil is a master of deception, and lures you by your wants and your affections, until you're caged, ensnared, forever caught, a mouse entrapped below a cooking pot, and all because you chose to chase the cheese. Lay down with dogs, and you'll come home with fleas."
Though slow to speak, she said, "With due respect, they are uncultured, but not bad."
"They're necks. They're leeches who suck the blood right out of Christ. They take and take, but never pay the tithe."
"Perhaps I'll teach them etiquette in class."
The deacon laughed. "Don't be naive, my lass. If you spend time with skunks, spite what you do, you think the skunk will start to smell like you? And you can give a pig a silk cravat, a boutonniere, a Borsalino hat, but in the end a pig is still a swine. You'll stink of skunk, and pigs will make you whine." The deacon saw her face and posture change, as if she thought his rant was something strange. So sensing he had gone too far, he said, "Forgive me, dear. At times I lose my head. My heart is sick for my beloved wife, and anguish grows to watch her lose her life. At times my anger gets the best of me, and, sadly, dominates the rest of me." At that her countenance began to soften. He said, "It only was a word of caution, my dear, a pastor's love, a shepherd's care, protecting God's own little sheep, so fair.
Well, thank you, Deacon, this walk was chivalrous, as was forgiving my uncivilness.
It's what we're known for. Welcome to the South.
He put a single finger to his mouth.
He said, Your secret's safe with me, my dear. Your aging granddad will not ever hear a word of this, because our fastened lips would never disrespect the name of Phipps.
When Clancy had arrived back home that day, the work of lifting trees was underway. The ropes that wrapped around the trunks of trees were pulled by mules, as bark and branches creaked. Red, in overalls without a shirt, was at the shovel moving clay and dirt. At seeing Clancy, Red could only stare, a sweaty face, a disapproving glare. As Clancy's hurried strides made water slosh within the metal pail that slapped with swash, it splashed the pant leg of his overalls. The legs of crayfish scraped against the walls. Boone was trotting close to Clancy's side until a rabbit moved and caught his eye. Boone chased as Clancy said, "Done got a supper."
Well, how's that gonna help us come next summer? Boy, I could wring your neck. Where'd you go? When you came in for Boone, I didn't know that y'all was fixin' to be running off. You embarrassed me in front of Doc.
"I'm sorry, Pa, but we was hot as coal, and so I taked her to the swimming hole."
You said it's time for manning up, but then, just like a child, you run and play with friends.
"But Pa, I manned up something fierce today.
Boy, there ain't nothing you could say. Best grab yourself a spade and get to digging.
Just listen, Pa.
It's you that needs to listen."
The man threw down his shovel in disgust.
When y'all off playing, we be busting butts. And look, here come your mama, fetching pails.
Her steps were quicker than a startled quail's. So Clancy put the crayfish down and ran to her. He said, "This job is for a man." He took the heavy pails. She wiped her brow, bracing her back within a backward bow. He brought the buckets to the mules to drink. Red started in.
"Dadgum, you just don't think, 'cept maybe thinking with your tallywagger."
The woman screamed. Her stomping made her stagger. The boy and man both moved their heads to see her stamping feet in fearful ecstasy, as if she were extinguishing a blaze or dancing a jig as spoons and fiddles played. Miss Rose was only known to fear one thing. Not frogs, not mice, not bugs that bite or sting. So when they heard her shriek and saw her shake, they knew her jabbing feet had found a snake. Before the two could start to run to her, the darting dog became a streaking blur. Boone bit and flung it in a single swoop, as if he yanked a belt out of its loops. As the snake was flopping through the air, they saw its head was halfway hanging there. It flapped like busted soles on worn-out boots, from flesh that frayed and splayed like ripped-out roots. When Red and Clancy finally got to Rose, the dog was panting with a glistening nose, but heavy-footed strides of Red's advance caused Boone to shrink his head and bend his stance. Red caressed his wife, then squatted down and slid his hands behind Boone's ears and crown.
"Good boy, good boy."
Boone licked his salty face as paws went on his arms like an embrace. Clancy brought the snake back by its tail. "A moccasin!" And Rose's face grew pale. She said to him, "Don't bring it over here. He deader'n dead, ain't nothing you should fear." To see the type of snake caused Red to look if Boone got poked by any poisoned hook. His hands moved from his paws up through his legs until Boone whined when touched on shoulder blades. Red searched within his fur to find a mark left by the water moccasin's deadly darts, and said with fright,
I think the snake done got him, but I can't find no dadgum marks upon him.
Miss Rose crouched downward to inspect his skin and spread the bristly hair upon his shin. Red said, He hollers like a trumpeter when I rub him on the shoulder here. Again he touched the spot. Come feel this welt. He must have got him good, already swelt. Boone pushed a whimper through his snout and shrunk by burying his shoulder in his trunk. But Clancy's worried face revealed relief and said, That's Dowdy scolding for a thief. Red's creaky knees were aching of aging sinew, and so he stood for Clancy to continue. Old Dowdy found us at the swimming hole, and he was awful mad 'cause Boone done stole a fish he ketched, and pistol whipped him good. By how he hollered, he must have laid the wood. He whipped my dog? Asked Red, and it appeared that mad maceders bulged beneath his beard. The boy continued through his father's question with facts to redirect his dad's attention. And Dowdy cocked the gun to shoot him too, but I manned up and stepped in front of Boone. He tugged his belt and said he'd whip me sore. I told him he ain't whipping me no more. You telling me that Dowdy drawed a gun, then hit my dog and aimed it at my son? He pointed it at Boone, not right at me. I stepped between him, Pa, reminding me of just the thing that Daniel Boone would do. I said, Your days of whipping me is through. Old Dowdy's got it coming. Now I see. The one to put him in his place is me.